$300,000. That's what one couple reportedly paid for a guided Everest summit, premium oxygen, dedicated Sherpas, and a VIP path to the top of the world. They never made it past Camp 3. At 7,200 meters on the Lhotse Face, both were found dead. No amount of money could override what the altitude was doing to their bodies. Everest has become a product you can purchase, but surviving it is not included in the price. The price tag for climbing Everest has never been higher. Commercial expeditions now advertise packages starting around $30,000, with mid-tier options stretching to $120,000, and ultra-premium climbs exceeding $200,000 per person. The reported $300,000 fee, often cited in viral stories, matches the top end of what major operators list for full-service experiences: personal Sherpa support, extra oxygen, private tents, and even gourmet meals. Helicopter transfers to base camp are sometimes included, but once above the Khumbu icefall, no amount of money can bypass the thin air or the Lhotse Face's steep ice. Operators like Elite Exped and Makalu Adventure State in public materials that their contracts separate logistics from rescue or medical liability, meaning evacuation and emergency care are not part of the base price. Commercial guides make it clear: premium services can provide comfort, speed, and convenience, but they cannot guarantee survival. Money may buy more support, but it cannot purchase safety at high altitude. Camp 3 sits high on the Lhotse Face, at about 7,200 meters, well above the threshold where the human body can function without serious strain. Here, oxygen levels drop to a third of what they are at sea level. The body's response is unpredictable, but two conditions dominate the medical landscape: high-altitude pulmonary edema, or HAPE, and high-altitude cerebral edema, known as HACE. HAPE occurs when low oxygen causes blood vessels in the lungs to constrict, forcing fluid into the air spaces and making each breath harder than the last. HACE, on the other hand, is swelling of the brain marked by confusion, stumbling, and sometimes hallucinations. Symptoms can appear suddenly: breathlessness at rest, a cough that won't stop, slurred speech, or an inability to walk in a straight line. According to high-altitude medicine guidelines, severe cases can turn fatal in as little as 6 to 24 hours if descent is delayed. At Camp 3, recognizing these signs and moving down quickly is the only real treatment. No amount of preparation or support can substitute for getting lower when the body starts to fail. In 2023, Nepal's Department of Tourism issued a reported 478 Everest climbing permits, a record at the time and a number echoed by official statements and international coverage. Each permit represents not just a climber, but a place in a tightly choreographed line, all racing against the same narrow window of safe weather. When the summit window opens, the crowd moves as one. Bottlenecks form at the most technical sections: fixed ropes up the Lhotse Face, the Yellow Band, and the Hillary Step, where only a few can pass at a time. The result is a long, slow queue, crampon to crampon, stretching across exposed ice and rock. Every minute spent waiting in line at altitude comes at a cost. Oxygen flows from tanks faster than planned. Calories and body heat drain away while climbers stand still. The longer the delay, the less time remains to descend before weather shifts or exhaustion sets in. Resources meant for a summit push are consumed just holding position. In these moments, the mountain becomes less a test of strength and more a test of patience, and the margin for error shrinks with every climber added to the route. As access expands, the question becomes not just who gets a permit, but who brings the judgment and skill to keep themselves and others alive when the line stalls high above the world. A permit and a paid package can open the door to Everest, but neither can teach a body how to survive at 7,200 meters. The process of adaptation, weeks of climbing to higher camps, then returning lower to let the body adjust, is not something that can be skipped with money. Commercial expeditions sometimes accept clients whose high-altitude experience is unknown or minimal, especially when the season brings record demand and premium fees. Operators may provide every comfort, from private tents to extra oxygen, but the climb itself remains a personal test. Guides and Sherpas can advise, warn, and support, but they cannot force a client to turn around or instantly recognize the signs of altitude sickness. As one veteran guide put it, "We can help you walk, but we cannot walk for you." The contract may promise a summit plan, but judgment and self-awareness are not for sale. On Everest, access is purchased, but competence is earned through time, exposure, and honest self-assessment, qualities that no package can guarantee. On Everest, the summit photograph has become more than a personal milestone. It's the centerpiece of a public performance. Social media platforms reward images that stand out: a climber at sunrise above the clouds, a flag raised in thin air, a face framed by ice and exhaustion. According to digital media researchers, these platforms are engineered to favor novelty, risk, and emotional intensity. The more dramatic the moment, the more likely it is to be shared, recommended, and monetized. This incentive system can change the way some climbers approach the mountain. When a summit shot becomes content, the line between adventure and audience expectation blurs. The most engaging posts often come from places where the margin for error is razor thin. As Dr. Luann Freer, a sports ethics researcher, notes, when the story is built around the summit, turning back can feel like a public defeat, not just a private decision. Guides and Sherpas may warn of the risks, but the pressure to deliver a triumphant post can push those warnings aside. It's important to recognize that online videos claiming influencer deaths are not independent proof of what happened in any specific case. There is no established evidence that social media influence directly caused the deaths reported in viral stories. The broader pattern is clear. The pursuit of content can shape priorities on Everest, sometimes with dangerous consequences. Above 7,000 meters, Everest holds a silent record of loss. More than 300 bodies are estimated to remain on the mountain, though the exact number is impossible to confirm. Many rest above Camp 3, where the air is too thin for helicopters and the terrain too dangerous for most recovery teams. When a climber dies at these heights, bringing them down is rarely a simple decision. Recovery efforts can cost between $30,000 and $70,000 per body, depending on altitude and conditions, figures reported by guides and rescue teams, but always subject to change. Each attempt requires a team of Sherpas or rescuers to return to exposed slopes, risking their own lives among shifting ice and unpredictable weather. Nepal's cleanup campaigns have retrieved some remains in recent years, but most families are forced to weigh the danger and cost against the wish for closure. Leaving someone on the mountain is not always neglect. Sometimes it is the only humane choice left. The question of who should bear the risk and expense of recovery remains unresolved, pressing against the limits of government policy and the safety of those who work in Everest's shadow. Nepal's new experience rule, first reported in 2025 and confirmed by multiple official sources, requires climbers to have summited a peak above 7,000 meters before receiving an Everest permit. The tourism bill passed the National Assembly unanimously, and by the 2026 season, the regulation was in force. The stated goal is simple: screen out those who have never faced true altitude, narrowing the pipeline of underprepared clients and influencer-driven applicants. A previous 7,000-meter summit, completed inside Nepal, means a climber has at least once endured the thin air, cold, and logistical demands above the acclimatization line. Yet a single ascent can be achieved on a guided team, with commercial operators offering full support for peaks like Barunsi or Himlung. Paperwork might prove a climb, but it cannot certify sound judgment or self-awareness. No law can guarantee that a client will recognize the need to turn around or resist the pressure to keep going when every instinct says stop. The regulation adds a barrier, but the real test remains on the mountain, not the application form. Every commercial Everest ascent depends on the work of Sherpas, skilled high-altitude professionals who fix ropes, build camps, ferry loads, and guide clients through the most dangerous sections of the route. Their responsibilities begin weeks before most climbers arrive, as they cross the Khumbu icefall again and again, carrying oxygen, tents, and supplies through shifting crevasses and avalanche-prone slopes. When a client struggles, Sherpas are the first to respond, offering support or, in emergencies, risking their own lives for rescue. This repeated exposure means Sherpas account for nearly 1/3 of all Everest deaths, a figure reported by NPR and echoed in international coverage. The 2014 Khumbu icefall avalanche alone killed 16 Sherpas in a single morning, underscoring the scale of risk they face. Despite the high price clients pay for a summit attempt, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars, Sherpa compensation is a fraction of that total, with insurance, bonuses, and legal protections varying widely by operator. While the title Sherpa refers to an ethnic group, not just a job, their labor remains the backbone of every ascent. Yet when clients choose to push higher, it is often these workers who bear the consequences. Supplemental oxygen is often described as the most important tool for surviving Everest's upper slopes. Bottled oxygen can double or even triple the air a climber breathes, raising blood oxygen levels and easing the strain on the heart and lungs. For many, it is the difference between moving and stopping. But oxygen also has a hidden edge. By making breathing easier, it can mask the early warning signs of altitude illness, fatigue, confusion, or the subtle loss of coordination that signals real danger. Medical guidance warns that climbers using oxygen may feel stronger than they truly are, sometimes pushing beyond what their bodies can handle. Oxygen does not create acclimatization, supply good judgment, or protect against exhaustion, cold, or sudden storms. The cylinders themselves are finite, dependent on flow rates, regulators, and careful logistics. When a climber ignores these limits, no amount of premium gear can guarantee a safe return. Oxygen can save lives, but it cannot make anyone immune to the mountain's demands. Announcing a summit attempt to a large online following can turn a private expedition into a public commitment. For some climbers, the audience is not just friends and family, but sponsors, business partners, and hundreds of thousands of followers tracking every move in real time. The act of sharing plans, posting updates, and promising a summit can create a sense of obligation that extends far beyond the mountain itself. When a retreat is necessary, whether because of weather, exhaustion, or medical warning, the decision is rarely as simple as turning around. In the world of social media, a missed summit can be interpreted as a professional setback, a loss of momentum, or even a brand failure. For those whose livelihoods depend on engagement, the pressure to return with a triumphant photo can outweigh the quiet wisdom of survival. Guides and experienced climbers often set a turnaround time, a hard cutoff that marks the point of no return. Crossing this line increases risk sharply, no matter how close the summit appears. There is no verified evidence that the reported couple ignored a turnaround, received a warning, or acted against advice because of outside pressure. But the broader reality remains. Audiences, sponsors, and platforms all play a role in shaping the stakes. The tension between public performance and personal judgment is unresolved, and the responsibility is shared by everyone who watches, funds, or rewards the climb. Today, Everest's summit remains for sale, but no permit or premium package can buy judgment or guarantee survival. As social media turns risk into spectacle, the real cost is measured in lives, not likes. On this mountain, the line between ambition and recklessness is always razor thin.